Hello everyone. So this video is about the model question papers of DSP Algorithms and Architecture. 21EC733 is the subject code of this subject. So let's see the model question papers. So in module 1, one problem is there, that is for FIR filter, and a sequence is given and you have to find the system function, magnitude and phase function, step response and group delay. Explain IIR filter design is important, and major feature of programmable DSP is also important. Also, block diagram of DSP system is important. Then obtain the transfer function of IIR filter, whose difference is given by this equation. Then define decimation and interpolation process and explain them using the block diagrams and equations with neat diagram. This is also an important question, and explain FIR filter with its design. Then module two, this problem to investigate the basic features that should be provided in the DSP architecture to be used to implement the following nth order FIR, and one sequence is given where n is equal to 0, 1, 2. Then explain Brown and Woolley multiplier for unsigned and signed numbers. Show the multiplication operation for 4 cross 4 unsigned multiplication. This is nothing but a Brown multiplier, 4 cross 4 Brown multiplier. And one more problem, that is to find the sum of 64 16-bit numbers. How many bits should be the accumulator? So accumulator have, so that the sum can be computed without the occurrence of overflow, error or loss of accuracy. Then explain the implementation of 8-tap filter, FIR filter. Y of n is equal to summation of h of I into x of n minus I, using the parallelism and pipelining, and draw the schematic diagram of the saturation logic and explain the same. A barrel shifter is to be designed with the 16 inputs for left shifts from 0 to 15. How many control lines are required to implement the shifter? In Module 3, describe the multiplier or adder unit for TMS320C54 XX processor with a neat block diagram, and describe the four addressing modes of it and architectural features and of this TMS320C25 and DSP 6000 fixed point digital signal processors. Describe the accumulator unit of this processor with a neat block diagram, and describe host port interface and explain its signals, and describe the explain the functional building block of TMS320 EC54XX processor. In module 4, determine the number of stages and number of butterflies in each stage and total number of butterflies needed for the entire computation of 512 point FFT. Then explain the block diagram and mathematical equations, the implementation of a second order IIR filter. No program is required, and briefly explain IIR filters. Explain how scaling prevents overflow conditions in the butterfly computation. Write assembly language program for TMS 320C54XX processor to implement an FIR filter. Write a subroutine program to find the spectrum of the transform data using TMS 320C54XX DSP. And in module 5, explain with the knee diagram the synchronous serial interface between C54XX and CODEC device. Explain the memory interface block diagram for the TMS320 processor, and design a data memory system with the address range 0008000H, 000FFF for C5416 processor using 2K cross 8 SRAM memory chips. Explain the operation of pulse position modulation or PPM to encode two biomedical signals, and explain an interface between an analog to digital converter and the TMS320C54XX processor and the program input output mode. With the help of a block diagram, explain JPEG algorithm. Now we'll see model question paper, second model question paper. So in this also, they have repeated this question in the first model question paper also, and explain the sampling process. Then this question was there in the first model paper, that is features of programmable DSP. This is a problem based on interpolation. Then decimation and interpolation question was repeated in model question paper. So this is also important, and explain FIR filter with its design is also important. In module 2, investigate the basic features. This question was also important, and explain. This question is also important because this is also repeated in model question paper 1. Then explain briefly about the MAC unit, that is multiply and accumulate unit, and this question was also repeated. Then this question is also repeated, 8 tap FIR filter. Then explain circular and bit reversed addressing mode, And a DSP has a circular buffer with the start and end addresses as 0200H and 020F H respectively. So what would be the new value of the address pointer of the buffer if in the course of address computation if it get updated to 0212H, and second question is 01FCH. In module 3, so describe the functioning of barrel shifter in this processor and explain PMST register. Then compare the architectural features. This question was repeated, so study that question also. And operation of serial input output ports and hardware timer of the TMST20C54XX on chip peripherals. Host port question was repeated in model question paper 1. Then explain different types of interrupts in TMS processors, and what is an interpolation filter, and explain the implementation of a digital interpolation using FIR filter and polyphase subfilter. Write the assembly language program for this processor to implement an FIR filter. Describe the importance of Q notation in DSP algorithm implementation with examples. How many adder, subtract, and multiply operations are needed to compute the butterfly structure? Then derive the equation to implement a butterfly structure in DIT FFT algorithm, and write a subroutine program to find the spectrum of the transform data using TMS 320 C54XX DSP. Then module 5 with any diagram the memory interface for write sequence of operation, and explain the purpose of each signal involved, and how interrupts are handled by C54XX DSP processor. And this question was repeated with a new diagram explain the synchronous serial interface between this, and this is also a repeated question. And explain this question was also repeated, and this question was also repeated in model question paper 1. So like you just compare the two model question papers, and you'll get to know the most important questions. So focus on those questions, and yeah, don't skip any questions from the model question paper. Please study these two model question papers also, okay? So this will help you to score well in your exams. So all the best for your exams, and thank you.